Well, public distancing and washing your hands, these two things can be the difference between this outbreak being weeks or months long or even longer. Dr. Adam Rosh, we thank you for joining us today. What are some things right away that you'd like everybody to know? This thing develops by the hour, it seems.
Absolutely. So right now, we are all soldiers in the battle against COVID-19, and we all have responsibilities and the opportunity here to make a difference. And the difference that we need to make is what we do right now, what we do in the next hour and the next day. And what we do is going to determine whether this disease progresses for another 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years. It's ultimately going to determine how many people live and how many people die.
When you take a look at that, what are some of the things that people have to keep in mind right now as they're watching this?
Yeah, absolutely. So the main thing that we could all do, every single one of us, is what is going around called social distancing. What I like to use is the phrase physical distancing. And this is what this means. Be mindful of where you are, your surroundings. Clearly, we need to stay away from any groups of people, right? Now you're going to be spending much more time in your house. You're going to be spending time away from people, right? And why we're doing that is because we need to limit transmission of the COVID virus, okay? Physical distancing, however, takes away the idea of we could still talk to loved ones, right? We could still go out and get a loaf of bread from the store. When you do that, though, be mindful of it, right? So when you go out to the store, you come back, you wash your hands, you put some sanitizer on your hands, right? You're not congregating around people. Essentially, the time for groups of people is eliminated right now. We need to avoid that until we figure out what's actually happening.
You hear people say groups of 100, other people say smaller groups. I mean, there's no magic number here. The point is to limit transmission. So does that mean that this weekend people have plans to have a couple over for dinner or something? You avoid doing that if you can.
There's no question you need to avoid that, right? We are in a public health emergency. In fact, this is the greatest public health emergency that I think our country and our world has seen since 1918. And if we don't act right now, then our pain is going to be prolonged. But if we do act, then we are going to come out of this much quicker.
When people compare America and Italy, is it apples and oranges?
Absolutely not. In fact, we may end up in that pathway, right? So right now, our decisions, what we do, we will either end up like South Korea that has not necessarily contained the entire virus, but they've slowed down the spread of the virus, or we will end up like in Italy or in Iran that they were late to the party. And by being late to the party, and that included testing everyone, and that included social or physical isolation and separation, then we're going to end up like them. Right now, we could be doing something. And I can tell you this, modeling has shown that for every day that we go without putting in the appropriate measures, the number of infections is going to increase by 40%.